I am Martin Luther King Jr., the man who dared to dream of equality and justice. Born in 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia, I grew up in a world where racism was the law, where Black Americans were denied the most basic rights. But from a young age, I knew that hate could not defeat hate, only love could. My name itself carried a legacy of defiance and faith. My father, originally named Michael King, visited Germany and was inspired by Martin Luther, the great reformer who challenged the Catholic Church and sparked the Protestant Reformation. In honor of his courage, my father changed his own name and mine to Martin Luther King. Like my namesake, I would dedicate my life to challenging injustice and transforming the world. I became a Baptist minister, but my calling went beyond the pulpit. Inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's nonviolent resistance, I joined the fight for civil rights. In 1955, when Rosa Parks refused to give up her bus seat to a white passenger, I led the Montgomery bus boycott. For over a year, we walked instead of riding, enduring threats and violence. Our perseverance paid off. The Supreme Court ruled that segregation on buses was unconstitutional. That victory was just the beginning. I traveled across the country, organizing marches, sit-ins, and protests, demanding the end of segregation and racial injustice. In 1963, in the heart of the segregated South, I was jailed in Birmingham for leading peaceful protests. From my cell, I wrote the letter from Birmingham jail, declaring that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Later that year, I stood before 250,000 people in Washington, D.C., and delivered my most famous speech, "I Have a Dream." I spoke of a future where my children would be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. My words shook the nation. The fight for justice was not easy. I was arrested over 20 times, faced constant threats, and survived an assassination attempt. But I never wavered. In 1964, my efforts led to the Civil Rights Act, which ended segregation, and I became the youngest person to win the Nobel Peace Prize. A year later, the Voting Rights Act was passed, securing the right to vote for Black Americans. But my fight was bigger than race. I stood against poverty, war, and injustice everywhere. I spoke out against the Vietnam War and economic inequality. I also condemned apartheid in South Africa, supporting the global fight against racial oppression. In 1968, while in Memphis supporting striking sanitation workers, I was assassinated. A bullet took my life, but not my dream. My vision of a just, equal world lives on in every person who fights for freedom. I am Martin Luther King Jr., the man who carried the name of a reformer, who faced hate with love, who changed a nation with words, and whose dream will never die.